There was a problem with the recording for the next few missions, so the following recreation shall be played by Maisie Golightly. I crossed over the village walls and took my first steps onto open grass. I travelled east and soon came across the mountain home of Hyacinth. I gave them the bag of herbs from Lily in exchange for some small health potions, and I may have looted their chest for a couple of mushrooms as well. We'll keep that between ourselves. And then I returned back for my next mission. I now had to infiltrate the spider lair, sneak past the spider queen, and acquire some of her webbing, which we would then use in some sort of devious trap when we come to taking on the orcs. When I reached the cave, I was greeted by an abundance of arachnids. After battling my way through the webbed passageways, I finally found the chamber of the Spider Queen. I smothered myself in grease from some peculiar stones, which Vascular assured me would make me invisible to the spider for a while. It seemed to be working, but I wasn't willing to hang around and test my luck. I grabbed the web and got out of there. Next, I was tasked with getting better footwear. I talked with Tom, the tanner, who instructed me to find a wild wolf den, and that he would provide some wolf hide boots, so long as I brought back the pelt. Inside the den I found the dead body of the poacher Tom had mentioned. Clearly the wolves had bested them. I took the skinning knife and delved deeper to find a suitable werewolf for my prize. I ever so carefully removed the wolf's skin. But then, ferocious howling echoed from deeper within the cave. It was time to leave. I scurried back to the village, and Tom gave me some basic leather boots. Apparently my handiwork wasn't up to his standards. While I'd been away, though, the trolls had taken it upon themselves to cause havoc, and had set a fire in the library which risked destroying important documents, including a book on the orc language. I fearlessly ran into the flames, recovered the book, and got it back to Vascular. It was now time to exact revenge on the trolls for making me have to leap into flames. First, I paid a visit to the bank to secure my recently acquired gold. Gotta look after all that wonderfully well-earned money I've acquired. Then I set on to ensure the troll's tunnel was taken out of commission. Within the cave, I found a pick which the trolls must have used in their excavation. With it in hand, I got to work breaking the tunnel supports. As the last beam creaked and cracked, I made my way out of the tunnel. They won't be causing trouble in there anymore. It was now time to properly prepare for taking on the orc camp. And to do that, I would need something for a distraction so I could get to Kraknaknork. I scoured the crypts to the southeast of the village, encountering hordes of shambling skeletons, and eventually came across a fleshy bone. And with that in hand, I promptly returned to the village, as I had no desire to hang around those graves any longer. Now Vascular told me I needed to get some sort of poison to weaken Kraknaknork. So, with a fresh silver amulet wrapped around my neck to fend off any poison that may try to weaken me, I was once again back out of the village, this time to the west, heading toward the orc camp, but not quite there yet. I found a little cave with a solitary wasp, and I beat the crap out of it until its juices were mine. Surely, this would be all I needed to take on the orcs. I returned to the village, and I was right. At long last, it was time to enter the orc camp and slay Kraknaknork. I reached the outskirts of the camp and immediately encountered trouble. Eventually, I managed to sneak around the north of the camp and came across a lone orc tending to business. I knocked him out and took on an orcish disguise, which, thankfully, allows me to breeze past the guard into the camp. And now I had to find a way down, underground, further and further into their little lair. A distraction! Thanks to the fleshy bones summoning a horde of wild dogs, the second guard was lured away so that I could get inside the camp proper. Now it was time to find a means of poisoning my target, so as to weaken him before our confrontation. I quickly dispatched the orc who was overseeing the brew. There could be no witnesses. Everything was going quite well. Stormed into the next chamber and was confronted by an orc berserker, but with one swift bling of the paralysing spiderweb tarantula netting thing from earlier, they were slowed enough for me to get into the teleport they were guarding. And I was one step closer. Now I had the fun of a random lever puzzle! After running back and forth for a considerable amount of time, it was time to confront Kraknaknork and wipe the fiend from existence. It was done. Took a little reward from the orcs' treasure room and made my way out of there. I quickly moved back to the village. Kraknaknork was dead. Rookgard was safe. My quest was complete. But the adventure had only just begun. The Isle of Destiny awaits!